And our first main topic gets submitted to us by Sean Bradley, who writes, "Hey, John, massive watcher of your show. Thank you so much, Sean. With last week's announcement that Death on the Nile would be pushed back to 2022, as well as the recent controversy surrounding Armie Hammer, do you think that gives Kenneth Branagh and Disney enough time to pull a Kevin Spacey and reshoot his scenes with another actor? Thanks, and keep the streams going." All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, look, it is a very, very interesting scenario right now that Disney, through no fault of their own, finds themselves in with regards to Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer, of course, has had a lot of, how do we put this? What's the right way for us to say this? Drama? Some drama going on around him? Now, look, I am not like cannibalism, whatever. I am not into the TMZ garbage. I am not here to talk about the drama that's going on with Armie Hammer off camera. But we will, I think it is interesting and important to talk about what kind of effect can we see on a movie. And of course, one of the big movies that Disney has coming out that was connected with Fox is Death on the Nile, the follow-up to Kenneth Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express. And now that thing's already done. It's shot. They just recently moved it to February of 2022. So they've got a little bit of room now. The question has become, what do they do with this movie now that it stars Armie Hammer, which, although he is not billed as the distinct lead actor of the film, some insiders who have seen the movie kind of say, yeah, Armie Hammer is kind of the lead in the movie. I mean, obviously, Detective Poirot, I never know how to say the detective's name, Detective Poirot. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. He's kind of the main character, but other than that, it's Armie Hammer. And Armie Hammer has this wild controversy surrounding him right now. So what does the movie do? What do you do with this as the movie? Now, again, I'm not here to go into any of the controversy about Armie Hammer. We're strictly here to talk about what does the movie now do with Death on the Nile. This is a pretty big deal for the cinema. Now, look, I'll say this. Regarding the controversy surrounding, the only thing I will say personally is this. I wasn't there. I have not seen, I do not know Armie Hammer. I've met Armie Hammer a number of times, yes. But I don't know Armie Hammer. I don't know the situation intimately. I was not there for any of the things that did or did not allegedly happen. So I really have no opinion on that part of it. All I will say is that I have met Armie Hammer. And on the occasions that I have met Armie Hammer, he has always been very nice to me, very pleasant, very personable, very, very nice guy. Although, now that I'm looking at this picture, why does it look like he's looking at me like I'm delicious? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading it. Doesn't it though? Doesn't it look like he's looking at me like maybe I'm a little bit delicious? I don't know. I've never thought about that before, but there you go. Anyway, all that is simply to say that I have met Armie a couple of times and he has always been like super nice, just a super nice guy. So I don't know anything, but let's talk about what does Death on the Nile now do? What are the options that are kind of currently available to them about what they can and cannot do? Now, the one thing that Sean brings up in the email, understandably, is, do they pull a Kevin Spacey? When, remember, for that one Mark Wahlberg film, they went back, reshot all of these scenes that Kevin Spacey was in, and replaced him with the great Canadian kid Christopher Plummer, who just recently passed away. They replaced him with that. Is that something that maybe they could or should do? Well, the answer to that is probably not. This comes to us from Variety, and they were writing the following. It does not take a Poirot, again, I'm probably not even pronouncing that right. It does not even take a Poirot-level detective to see the public relations nightmare Disney is faced with. Numerous, and again, this is through no fault of Disney's. It's not like there was this controversy out there and they decided to make the movie with them anyway. They made the movie was made, and now they've inherited this problem. What do? It does not take a Poirot-level detective to see the public relations nightmare Disney is faced with. Numerous rival studio executives and agents told Variety. Having pushed the film from a planned release date in September, its sixth date change, to the first quarter of 2022, that's going to be in February, the media giant has a few months to watch the Hammer scandal unfold and formulate a plan, crafting a strategy one that respects silence breakers and survivors, protects Hammer's co-stars like Gal Gadot and Letitia Wright, and avoids unsavory mentions of cannibalism fetishes and criminal sexual assault allegations for a brand that's synonymous with family, presents a dizzying array of challenges. It absolutely does. One source familiar, this is where we get into the question about, do they just replace him with another actor? One source familiar with an early cut of Death on the Nile said Hammer's role is significant to the point of being the film's male lead. The studio is not currently considering reshooting or recasting his role. Another insider with knowledge of the project said reshoots, after all, could cost tens of millions of dollars and would be nearly impossible to pull off given the packed schedules of the ensemble. And that's probably even the more important part. When you look at a project like Death on the Nile, it is a big, long list of very successful people, both in front of and behind the camera. If you want to reshoot, all the scenes, and there are a number of them, if you want to reshoot all the scenes with Armie Hammer, that means you're going to have to also get a lot of the cast back. Well, guess what? Their schedules are booked. It's kind of part of the problem that Chaos Walking had. One of the reasons why Chaos Walking was delayed so long was that they knew they had to do a lot of reshoots, but both Tom and Daisy Ridley, they had packed schedules and they couldn't just come back to do reshoots for Chaos Walking. They had to wait a long time until they had availabilities in their schedules to come back and do that. Disney doesn't have that option right now. Not to mention the cost of it. We're literally costing in the tens and tens, maybe more, tens of millions of dollars in order to do that. And that's probably something they just don't want to do. So what does Disney do with this? Well, the way I see it, they've got three options. And I don't know what you guys think about this, but I think they've got three options. Option number one, which is probably not terribly unlikely. They've pushed it to February of 2022, right? That's a long ways off. That is a long ways. Because what are we now? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. That's 11 months away. John, did you really just have to count that on your fingers? Apparently I did. Shut up. Anyway, so the thing's 11 months away. So one of the options that they have available to them at the moment is just let it go away. Let it die out. Adopt the whole Ezra Miller thing. Ezra Miller's just caught on film choking a woman. Everybody will forget about it in a little while. No one's going to be talking about it. Let's just be quiet about it and let it disappear. And lo and behold, it disappeared. And so maybe their philosophy might be, let's do what Warner Brothers did. Let's just let this sit for almost a year. And maybe nobody will be talking about it anymore. I don't know. Now, the problem, of course, is the stuff that Armie Hammer is in the middle of, the controversy he's in the middle of, is a little bit more salacious, right? It's a little bit more salacious. And I don't think it's stuff that people are just going to let go of relatively quickly. You know what I'm saying? May not let go relatively. So, but that is an option to them. Wait a year and let's see if that just goes away. Then we can release the movie. That's an option. Option number two is just pull the plug on the movie. Just pull the plug on the movie. Now, of course, this is the most unlikely of scenarios. Again, because this is something that hundreds of millions of dollars have been invested into. Just pulling the plug on the movie is probably not a viable option that is even remotely being considered. I've seen a lot of people online say they should just cancel the movie. There's no win. It's a no-win situation for them. They should just pull the plug. Yeah, that's unlikely. Because even if all you get back, you invest hundreds of millions of dollars, even if all you get back is $1 million, that's still $1 million. They can't just scoff at that. Not to mention, they'll probably have the attitude of, why would we pull the plug on the entire movie when there are literally hundreds of people who have worked on this movie, and we shouldn't just pull the plug on it because of the actions, the alleged actions of just one of them. Understandable. So that's why I don't think that's really going to be one on the table. The third option that I personally think is probably the most likely scenario to have happen. The third option is this. They avoid the spectacle of a press tour, of a big theatrical release of a premiere. They avoid all that and end up taking it directly to Hulu. Not Disney Plus, but taking it directly to Hulu. This, I probably think, is the most likely scenario. Now, again, let me be clear. I have no insider information here. I am in no way, shape, or form claiming that I have been informed by people at Disney that this, no, not at all. This is just me speculating. But out of the various options on the table, wait for it to go away, which is something that maybe they hope happens, pull the plug altogether, or eventually just put it right to Hulu so you can just put it out, get some benefit from it, and avoid the circus of everybody just wanting, because look, we all know what'll happen, right? We all know what'll happen. Letitia Wright is going to sit down in a press conference and everybody's going to ask, did Armie Hammer ever take a nibble of your finger? Excuse me? So when you were alone with Armie Hammer and he was eating a plate of spaghetti, did he say, I bet this tastes like you? I mean, but honestly, that's all that's going to happen. So they probably can't do any press for it. So that's why I'm thinking maybe they just put the whole thing out on Hulu. I don't know. Maybe you guys see a fourth option. Question is, what do you think about this? I mean, this is a predicament that Disney finds themselves in through no fault of their own. How do you think they should approach it? How do you think they're going to approach it? Which one of the three options that I presented do you think are most likely? Or can you see a fourth or fifth option? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.